Welcome back to a rainy Aquitaine ocean city project. We're picking off where we left last time. We now have a solid basis for our city. We're starting to have a decent population size. As you can see, we've reached a population of over 25,000. We also have a balanced budget of 130,000 sel, or perhaps 1,300,000 euros. And 50,000 euros coming in weekly. So we're in a good position financially, and we have gained some independence from the authorities. Even though we can still try to apply for grants, we can also take out loans, which is another option, now that we have some economy going. But all of this, these developments, especially the recent construction of this solar power plant, has led to some issues within our community, and there seems to be a sort of division forming, with on the one side some separatists who want to keep us as an independent and separate project as much as possible, and a place where there's only some elite that can live here. And the integrists who want us to be integrated with the wider community, the country, etc. You could also call them nationalists, who are more pro-nuclear in this debate because of supporting the nuclear industry. And well, now there's some problems because we built a solar power plant, and these people are not happy, and the separatists seem to have the upper hand for now. But we'll see how things unfold, and of course I'll keep rolling the dice to see how these different events unfold. We're gonna start today by building out a little bit this way. You see we have some roads already laid out, but we need to start development. And we can also discuss a little bit the broader plan for the community now that we've reached the
mid-2030s, and the context in which the city is under construction is becoming more clear, as are its objectives. So let's go. With 25,000 people, it's time to expand our healthcare, but so as you can see here, low healthcare capacity. And it's time to build a hospital, and I want to build this hospital here. Or this one maybe. It's smaller. That should be interesting. In any case, I want to build it on the same island as a public transport stop, so that people can directly walk from into the hospital from public transport if needed. I think this really helps with mobility. So we need to create an island here, which is friendly to this project. And I think we're going to create one of our only metro stations on the ground, because it will be easier for people who arrive to get to the hospital if they're already at ground level. So maybe we can break this island up and try and build something like that here. So I've gone for this setup like this. In the end, I chose a raised platform. I think we can say there are lifts in the middle there. And it's just better because pedestrians can walk underneath the lines and get to the hospital faster. This was the shortest distance I could create. I'm just adding in some rows of junipers, maybe some other decorative plants, just to create a kind of nice space around the hospital. But it should be pretty quick for people to take public transport to the hospital for their medical checkups and things like this. So I think that's a pretty good setup. It's really eaten to our budget. We're quite poor now, but I think it's working quite well. So I've now defined two new districts: the hospital, CHU in French for the General Hospital, and then the Quartier des Arts, which is going to be a kind of artistic, cultural hub near the city center. I think this is a good place to have it, not too far from where most people are going to be arriving. The central transport hub, where the train station will be, I think, around here.
So this will be a district for tourism. There'll be obviously some residences too. Maybe I'll separate out a leisure area as well. This will be mainly a kind of artistic, touristy place to go. Okay, yeah, so on second thoughts, I've actually divided these. We have the Quartier des Arts, the arts district, which will be a leisure district. We can put that in now. And then the Quartier des Palmes, of the palms, which will be a tourism district. I think that makes more sense as a layout. So I'm zoning for some tourism related things. I'm going to leave a little buffer for the high school. Maybe we can add in some sports facilities, even though our budget is getting kind of strained, or maybe I guess it'll be on the other side of the road for them. Better play the game. Yeah, budget is going to be a little bit strained here, so we better start zoning some businesses and hope that some people want to move in here. We can also create maybe some business, some offices that will be related to... I think we should leave that for the business district maybe for now. Okay, let's keep on adding in some hotels maybe. That would make sense as a spot, I think. And this square can also be, yeah, good spot for tourism, hotels, things like that. And these will just grow in now. And that will also provide some electricity to our poor hospital and metro station. Hopefully these buildings aren't too ugly. I still haven't removed the European assets that I don't like so much. But whoa, we have a big hotel. Wow. Not so beautiful, but it's okay. We can look at that later on. And then here we come. Here goes the European assets. Look, it's a nice asset. It's just that it just does not fit in this context at all. So we're gonna pretend that the European buildings are not being built. That they're refused planning permission by our planning authority. But yeah, this is already some area coming up that will start paying for the additional costs of the hospital and new public transport stop. And I think we can start developing out our arts district next. So this is going to be quite a loud district. I don't think we should put too much residential here. I think we can zone in already some high density. Maybe we should have some lower density also in the mix. Might be a little bit less extreme. Okay, we'll make this kind of cross, high density cross. It's got a kind of religious thing going on for the party district. Maybe not the most appropriate, but why not? Okay, let's see if we can drag this right down to here. That might make some weird things here, but that's okay. Bit of diversity never hurt anybody. Maybe not nobody, but most of the time nobody. Okay, so that's going to be our kind of loud party center here, and then we can add some residential in a residential node here because we're starting to lack residential. And it might end up being quite ugly, but we can always just do our cleansing of the European style buildings as we usually do, because we don't want them. Before everything fills in, I've added in these paths so we don't have to destroy everything, and we can create maybe some interesting party spaces at the back too. It can be nice to hang out not just in bars but also around bars. So we'll make sure we have plenty of picnic benches and things like that. Should be a pretty nice district. No, go away. We don't want you here. Not the prettiest of buildings. Maybe I should see for replacing these vanilla assets with something else. But for now we can just pretend that they're nicer. Grand Canyon Casino. I don't think that's happening here. I had to run a power line because these guys decided that they were going to settle this end of the district. Even though there was no power there. The cleansing of unwanted buildings continues. Yeah. Entertainment. Very nice. Really have this cyberpunky node of hotels forming here. With the metro going through it. But we're making mad money. 9,200 cells. 90,000 euros a week. For a public budget, that's pretty good. We have 2% unemployment. So everything is definitely on track. However, we do have some news concerning our objectives. We have some things to clean up here. So, these are all not the kind of buildings that we would have being built here. You neither. Sorry to evict you guys, but this is not possible, especially in the most touristic area. No. We're not going full cyberpunk. This can stay. Yeah, this can stay. So, what's happened is basically the Izar Aerospatial Company that's set its headquarters up here. It is a very special corporation. It's an aerospatial corporation that works as a workers, a federation of worker co-ops, a bit following a similar model to the Mondragon Corporation in Spain. If you don't know about this, I really advise you to look this up. It's very interesting. And so they are commencing asteroid mining operations after years and years of preparation. And this material will be moved to factories in higher orbit that are also being built at the moment. Remember, we're in 2037. Technology has progressed. So the idea is to then drop the materials manufactured in higher orbit, so this is the most heavy industry, down to the Bay de Biscay, to then be recovered by ships and then processed for further manufacturing along the coast. And so we have been granted special permission to set up a trade harbor around here. And then we'll have to set up a system to import and export goods as fast as possible. And this is the reason why our city was originally formed. But obviously it wasn't quite apparent in the 2020s. However, in the 2030s, late 2030s, this is the new paradigm. This is the new race. The race for automated manufacturing in orbit and the recovery of minerals in the asteroid belt. Very expensive, but great potential. And so all the manufacturing we will do down here will be non-polluting manufacturing, and then or almost non-polluting, and all the polluting stuff will be done in orbit. Wow, we're really having a lot of traffic coming in. We might have to look at the road network again soon. But in the meantime, that's the project. Of course, it is also a race against time because we have competitors in this pursuit. And we must be very careful not to get too behind. We need to speed up the development and probably ask for another grant, which will create another challenge. and perhaps more divisions in between our community members. Okay, so here's a small intersection which will help connect to the harbor. So already that's some basic infrastructure set up, and we are well on our way to having this sorted. We just need, okay. Okay, and then we can move this a little bit here, change this angle. I think that's quite nice. I think that's quite nice. So our strategy is going to be two-pronged. First we have to increase our population to have even more weight, more capacity, more power. And then our second objective is also to develop these industrial structures, and both need to be kept in balance. We need to keep developing the city, but also take the time to build these industrial structures. I've made some changes to this interchange. We're no longer having this come up here. That's just dangerous and silly. It might as well just come here and join the other lane. I think that's safer and makes more sense. It's not the most beautiful interchange, but I'm not an expert in these things, and it's pretty much the best I could do. It's not too bad. We will build a central train station here, but now is not the time yet. We don't have the authority to ask for this kind of train line work to be done. Obviously, it's all regulated at national level. So what we're going to do instead is build a smaller regional train. So we're going to start by building a roundabout to receive the traffic from the motorway. And we can then get rid of this and have the highway without sound barriers, because that, I feel like it decreases visibility in a way that's pretty dangerous. We can have it coming in. I don't like that angle. I think we should have it coming in straight at first, and then maybe we can get. That's not too bad, I guess. No, it's ugly. Well, I'll correct it after. And then we can have this. It's again pretty ugly. Let's correct this. Okay, that's corrected. And then we can drag a road off of this roundabout. There shouldn't be too much traffic to begin with. Maybe we could also set up a cargo train station at the same time. In which case, maybe we should have a one-way system. That might make the most sense. So we have a one-way system coming off like this. Coming up around, and hopefully this leaves enough space for train stations. I think it'll be good. We can divert the line slightly. We have that much capacity. And then we'll have this coming back around like this. So this little potato-shaped loop. And then we can hopefully not disrupt the trains too much. But we're going to cut the line for a while over a short distance to set up our train stations. Hopefully we'll have the money. So one small passenger train station
here. And one cargo train station here. And then we're going to have the two-way tracks coming in like this. Oh, that's no good. That's much too tight. You can see how weird that looks. So like this and like this. It's pretty neat. And then we have to deal with electricity and stuff too. Like this and like this. And then this should be not too difficult to connect. Oops. Should have just gone for it, I think. Not too difficult to connect here. Yes. Trains. We have some train stuff. We need some small scale independent. So water production and processing. So we're gonna go, that's a lot. They're both the same though. Okay, we're gonna go for a water tower. And an inland water treatment plant. And so this is special infrastructure. Pretty expensive solution, to be honest. We might have to find a way to connect this to the rest of the network because it's kind of ridiculous. Especially now we're going to also, maybe there's something ecological we can do that will generate enough power. Obviously this actually might be enough. Maybe not. That would be ridiculous. Oh, it is. Seems it is enough. It's not very realistic, but in real life we would get power through lines as well. So maybe it's not super unrealistic either. It needs... yeah, it's good. I think everything is functioning. We have enough electricity. We have a small autonomous thing going on here. People can drive out here to use the train station. No, that's not enough electricity. Okay. Let's add some solar panels to this whole situation. Here, there'll be like this. That's too much. We only need one, I think. Okay. Okay, that depleted a lot of our resources. But now we have a little deviation on the train line setup. Not the most pretty thing, but it will work for now. It's our cheap solution to providing trains. So hopefully now we will have people arriving and leaving by train. Here we have a train arriving right now. Let's see if it stops. That would be nice. Nope. No stop for us. Oh, but cargo? Cargo is being unloaded. Yeah. We're actually importing wood. Who would have thought? Okay. I couldn't help myself. I fixed this train up a little bit. It just looked a bit weird. Now it looks a little bit better. Look at the amount of people crossing on foot in this park. It's just crazy. All this avoided traffic. It's pretty successful. I think we can extend the industrial road here and maybe create a kind of slip road back onto the highway. So not everyone has to go through this central transport hub. That might be the most intelligent thing to do. Okay. And we can have just a small road coming off of this and merging with the highway. And it shouldn't really change the traffic much.
Maybe this angle is not ideal. Let's see if we can maybe move this a little bit. Have this coming. No. Let's keep this straight. We have this. Merging like this. You just get here, and then you have the choice, I guess, to turn around if you want. You can also go like that. I don't know if that's how it works, but whoa, that's very wobbly. It's kind of scary. We don't really want this wobble in like that. Maybe you should just slow down. Slow down. At least here. Go 50, then you can go to 80 to pick up speed. That's not how you insert onto a fast road. Look at that's dangerous. Let's try and make something a little bit more decent. Sorry guys, sorry for the disappointment. But you need up and then I'll have it like that. Have it really close, like as if it's just a lane to messing up the functioning of the other road, maybe a little bit. But let's try something like this. And then will this look more realistic? You have to go all the way here and then like this. That might look a bit more realistic. Okay, and then you should be able to insert yourself onto the motorway. Gets a bit scary there. You have a lot of trucks coming out. Maybe we need to look at who has priority here. Obviously, this road has priority. This road must give way. Maybe it's possible to recover an exit here and have it come round to there. For a start, we want to connect this point here and here, maybe. And hopefully that won't create too much chaos, just in case people decide to go back the other way. So they're not driving into and out of something. We'll see how that works out. And then we can also have then a division coming off of here. Maybe not. Maybe we should have it. Maybe we should not have this because this is creating chaos. And we should have it instead a division here that peels round. Peels round. Already digging a hole there. Okay, let's give something like this, a 90 degree. And 90 degrees again. This actually fits because it's partially underground. And we can maybe have something like this coming up like that. Don't know if it's the most beautiful or the most practical. We'll have to see how it fares. Okay, that's a little bit better. Make it nice and straight. So we have this kind of complicated road thing going on here, but that should allow people to come in and out from a potential harbor being built around here, and it should allow good access from the industrial zone here. So here they can bypass this whole thing, or they can come out here and go straight to the industrial zone without having to go to the central transport hub and congest this roundabout here, which is quite loaded. And before we stop for this episode, I would like to add one last little residential district, because we have a growing residential demand. And so I'm going to build out this little Quartier de la Faille, the Rift district, which will be a new little residential district built around this rift. I think we're going to make it a feature of the district with a little rift park to commemorate the rift, and which will allow people to walk around the rift, even drive past it, because we can actually drop here another road, have one going like this parallel. That should look pretty nice. Let's just take the boundaries again. Okay, we can expand it a little bit this way. We don't want to get too close to this interchange either. It's going to be not the most high-end district. This will be kind of a residential district, a mid-range residential district. We need some affordable places too. And this is mostly going to be because I don't think the noise should be too bad. Yeah, the noise is okay. As long as we don't stick right up to this motorway, it's not too bad. And then we can have, I think, more like this, and then more like this, and then like this, and then I'm just building a basic grid with some variation in it. A grid, so that means high connectivity, easy to move around in. And it's not even like it's a particularly modern thing in this region. Actually, a lot of the medieval cities in this region are called bastides, which are medieval cities built on a grid. So that's a piece of history for you. And we're going to define a park for this rift, which will have a bit of motorway in it, but that's okay. Some parks have that. And it will be the Parc de la Faille. I'm going to leave it pretty wild, I think. It's just going to have some nature paths going along the edge. So some nature park paths, maybe some lit ones, because we're kind of in an urban environment. But it will just have some paths going along like so. So this is just, hopefully I don't want to deform it too much. We can have this actually connect a little bit here. Okay, and then what we could have is a bridge on the other side. Bridge to the other side. That could be quite fun. Wow, so steep. I didn't. Oh yeah, here that's much better. Okay, we'll have a bridge like that. How is proper anarchy keep getting on? I never turn it on. And it always ends up being turned on itself somehow, which is quite annoying. It didn't seem to be on when I built these roads. Definitely was when I started building the paths. I need to look into my mod choices, because I seem to be making the wrong ones, or at least not doing it properly. Okay, that's much better. Have a little rounded angle there, and then have a little rounded angle here, Okay, that was a bit too much, but that's okay. We can have this come up like this. Oh no, I wanted it to go here as well. Don't know why you decided that wasn't going to be possible anymore. Okay. I'll have you come up here then, to avoid any issues. Then a little bit more on this side too. Okay, and then here and try and take off all of the guidelines. Maybe that will make things, often that makes things better. Yeah, close enough. Okay. Maybe I can just move this a little bit. This little node here. Move it in. Okay, that's pretty good. So you have this little park where we will have not much going on. Maybe a little tower to view. Oh, we need a gate. Right. I'm not sure that makes a lot of sense, but fair enough. That's how the game decided to do it. We can do a small nature reserve main gate here. Hopefully that will connect. And of course it won't. Let's move it a little bit across here. And then we can connect up. Nature reserve. Okay. Okay. And then we can build some actual interesting things in this park. Probably not fire related because that would be very dangerous. But we can build, for example, a small tower, a smaller one here to kind of view the main feature, which is this rift that was created by the earthquake. And I guess anyone standing there will hope that there's no more earthquakes that occur here, as well as anyone who's thinking of building property in this neighborhood. That would be unfortunate. I think we can do mostly high density and then some low density on the side. And we'll leave some space for the park. Leave some space also for new roads if we want. Yeah, high density node like this. And also here, all high density. And also here. And at least maybe this low density. And then this low density. And then more high density along a sort of corridor here. And giving onto the park. I think that's the nicest. And then definitely here it's going to be high density. And I think this we can destroy now because we finally have some buildings. So we can also add high density. And maybe a low density area here. Okay. Well, this place will need water, obviously. This is a 21st century district. So I better start adding in some mains water. And again, always under the roads for maintenance purposes. I learned that. And electricity, hopefully old bridge as people move in. Just in case, maybe I will build a small little bridge here. Should be pretty good. Once again, we are faced with an energy crisis. As this district was building out, we decided to lack megawatts. Production 181, consumption 178. We were already in the yellow. Now things are going over the edge. And of course, the debate about whether we move to nuclear power or not has sparked up again. And negotiations started up again. And this time, the negotiations definitely went in the way of the pro-integration, which means that the government has successfully managed to push us to invest also in nuclear power. Therefore, we will have to set up a nuclear power plant for now, which will then have to be dealt with later on. This has also created a lot of animosity within different factions of the community. So now we have groups of people who want to separate even more strongly from the country we're in, given that we have now a very high GDP per capita. And this is creating a lot of political tensions, because after all, we are backed by the EU and national governments. And yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. We maybe can find a deal with them where we pay them back. The energy has resolved itself for now. Something increased again. And we have cuts again. Okay. So it's just kind of fluctuating depending on the solar energy. So we've received the grant to build this nuclear power plant. We're going to build it quite away from the city, but close enough that we can run a water line to it for cooling purposes, obviously. Of course, it's not directly water from our water system, which is going to be cooling it. It's going to be of course cooled with a separate circuit of water, so there should be too much radioactivity problems, but still not ideal. Ideal to have this on your doorstep, but it will produce an insane amount of power. So we are good for electricity. However, the debate has not yet been fully solved, because now we have our nuclear power station, we're good for electricity, but there's increased pressure to create a barrier between us and the rest of the world. And we'll have to see how that unfolds as we continue to develop our industrial sector at the same time. So that will be next episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for watching, and have a good time, whatever the time of day. Evening, morning, time of the year, Christmas, whatever. Have a good time. It's called Club de la Crème. Jesus Christ, Cream Club? Okay. Also, I've changed these buildings out for some eco ones. They look much better. Still need to figure out what to do with these buildings. Not great. By the way, based on our tax records, I've calculated that the average citizen of Aquitaine Ocean earns about $80,000 or 70 or so, 72 or so thousand dollars a year, euros a year. So that's pretty high. That's pretty high.